Sir, we are live now.
Dear LUM students and alumni, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this live grooming session. I am Munawar, Head of Career Services Office, LUMS. Career Services Office, LUMS has initiated a series of online grooming sessions to provide an opportunity to LUMS students and alumni to know about market trends and help them to explore appropriate progressive careers. This session will be very beneficial for them to explore careers through network. Today, Mr. Shaban, Director, Human Resource and Administration, Coca-Cola, UAE and Oman, has joined us to share his views and tips about the optimized use of LinkedIn network to find better opportunities and network with employers. Mr. Shaban has more than 25 years experience in multi-sectors like FMCG, banking, retail, beverages, and telecom. He has expertise in HR and performance management, profitability, growth, and employee engagement. So now I would like to invite Mr. Shaban to take the mic and share his tips with us about the LinkedIn. Shaban sir, please.
Thank you, Munawar. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. It's a delight and an honor to be with all of you. A very, very warm welcome and introduction by Mr. Munawar. Thank you for that. And I would like to welcome all the students, all the alumni of LUMS who have taken out time to be with us. I'll share with you a few experiences of my life. I'll share with you that how do we use LinkedIn. And I'll also share with you what all that I have done in life to reach up to where I am. To start with, giving you a little bit of background, who I am, what I've done so far, what I've been doing in life. In a span of about 25 years, 3 continents that I've been to, Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Europe, mainly I've worked in. If you look upon my profile, if you go to LinkedIn, you'll see all my experiences, all that I've been doing in my life. Today, the topic is how to tap the hidden job market. Now, it's a very dear and a near to heart topic for all the people who are into employment. All our life, we study hard, and then we try to find that how to pursue a career. And at point in time, when we are just about to enter the professional life, we start struggling, not actually knowing how to go about it. And today is a day when I'm trying to explain to all the youngsters that what are the few steps which you can take to reach where you wish to be. To start with, let's understand first and most question that at this moment in time, where do you stand? And if you look upon this slide, which I'm showing, it's a total life cycle of an employee, right from the start when you graduate and then on and on and on. Whether it be your start of a career, whether it be you want yourself to be performing your managing your performance, development while you are onto a job, or if we can coach you how to improve your performance, or you are in a job and you feel that you're not engaged and you're not motivated, or you are working very hard in an organization, yet your work is not being recognized, or you are at a stage in life whereby the retirement age is knocking at the door. Still, you're struggling, thinking what to do because you're still healthy, you can work out, and you don't know what to do. These are the questions which every individual come across in a professional career. And the beauty is that there are very reasonable and practical answers to each and every question which arise on this slide. The only question is that how do you tap it and how do you approach it. When we go into this program, you will see that what is it you're going to find? You will discover how to find a recruiter and a hiring manager at a company that you've always wanted to work for. You'll also come across situations whereby how to present yourself. You've seeked an interview, you're sitting right in front of the HR manager. How do you conduct? How do you present yourself, your personality, appearing in a most promising manner that, yes, you are the right candidate. You are the person who the organization is looking for. Once you are done with this program, you will also understand that how to build your profile and showcase your leading edge. It's my belief that each and every individual which comes across has one unique quality, if not more. And how do you identify that your leading edge is? How do you identify that what is it that makes you different from the rest of the competition? How to get back in your perfect job? If there's been a situation that you've been asked to go, how do you manage yourself? How do you recover? Now, here's the big promise. What you are about to find out in the next 1 hour or so comes from the tried and tested model. It comes not only from hundreds of students and professionals who have benefited from this model, but also from the strategies that I have used in my teaching model. And I assure you that if you follow all this carefully, 100% you're going to benefit out of it. Unlike some of the proclaimed gurus, who've been there, done that, unfortunately, they've not had the exposure of the practical life. What you will see and experience for the next an hour and a half is coming right across to you from the thing which has got all the experience, what all it takes in a professional life to be. Let's understand that what do we mean? Are you aware of the hidden job market? It's $1 million question. It's a question which everybody wants to know. Let me understand. And what I understand from Hakan, that you'll only be able to either raise a hand or say yes or no. So for the participants, let's have your answers. Just a yes or a no. Do you know what a hidden job market is? For the benefit, since people are able to see or not, I'm not sure. So possible answers are no, I'm not aware. Or yes, I know, but I don't know how to use it. Or I know how to tap into it. Now, my experience says that most of the answers which flock together are on answer B. There are people who know, but they don't know how to use it. And the second best is no, they don't know. Let's understand, before we go any forward, that this session is meant for whom? It's not meant for people who are not really into it. They don't want to do anything. They just want everything to be ready and be there. Before we move forward, we need to be very clear. This is not for someone who is not willing to do any work. Not for people who, it's not a magic button. For anything and everything that we do, we have to do hard work. If you don't have skills which require a lot of work, or some specific skill that requires, for instance, in today's world, especially after COVID, IT skills are the basic need. It's a must for every professional to have. There are people who still cannot do presentations. There are people who still cannot shift between the IT things and ERPs. Now, if you do not have that basic skill, you will not be able to benefit. So you need to learn things before getting on to the challenge. Now let's see that who is it for? This is for people who are seeking job in any industry. Either people like you who are moving from campus to corporate, or people who were there before you and they have already gone onto the corporate side. It's for people who have lost their jobs because of any reason. They want to go back on track. This is for people who feel they are experiencing ageism. Now, I would love to say that there's no such thing which is called ageism, but unfortunately, in the practical scheme of things, you might find it somewhere on the job board, somewhere in the organization. So we need to be very mindful of that. This is for people who have gaps in their resumes, people who have already got the job, they are working, and by some reason they have some gaps in employment. So, how do you build over those gaps professionally so that when you are in front of the HR manager or in an organization for an interview, you are not feeling awkward and you are able to cover it properly? This is for people who are employed but looking for a better position. There are instances whereby a person feels that I'm already employed, but I can still do much better. If you feel that you can still do much better, and you need to find that there's got to be another option. So go on to this webinar. You will see a lot of options how to switch through. This is for people who are looking to make a career transition. Now, if you're already on a job and you're working for many years in that position, and you're not making a headway, you're not getting promoted, you're not getting recognized, you're not getting what you want, bonuses, promotions, things like that. So what you need to do is you need to switch to a situation, switch to a career which is next best to your skills, which is matching to your existing skills. So in the first slide, it is said that people who do not have the basic skills, you should not start a career which requires a reinvention of wheel. You start learning a new skill and then you start on. Some people might be at a stage where you need to pay the bills, you need to pay the tuition fee of the children, you need to pay the house rent. So for those kind of people, it will be extremely difficult to get and learn a totally new skill, which they have not dreamt of. So the next best skill, which you already possess, is something that you would like to do. For example, you are a marketing manager. You may want to switch to selling, hardcore selling, frontline, or you are a marketing manager. You would want to be, okay, let's try my luck into trade marketing. Now, trade marketing and marketing is a bit different. They're two different scopes. And then either way, or if you are into sales, you want to step into trade marketing, back-end job. So these are the areas where you can transit and make a transition easily compared to a totally new field which you do not have any experience for. This is for anyone who's motivated and willing to work, necessary to succeed. People who are motivated and willing, people who wish to step ahead and take the leap to improve themselves, people who dream of being a successful professional, people eager to learn practical and professional ways to get ahead of their competition. This webinar is for all those people who want to make a difference in their life. Let's get on to a subject which is very important and is being talked about. What is a hidden job market? Now, to my mind, it's important to understand. If you look at the slide, the CNN Money Clip says that 80% jobs in the hidden job market, and jobs which you see on job boards are only 20%. Now, entering into a hidden job market is critical in your job search. The question is how? What we want to talk about is, what is a hidden job market? Why are these jobs never advertised? How can you penetrate? How can you find out about these jobs? Have you ever asked yourselves that there must be more jobs than the ones which are available on the job boards? If you think the answer is yes, then yes, you're 100% right. There are always jobs which are never advertised, and the ones which you look upon, they're only 20%. Every time you are searching through LinkedIn, every time you are searching through newspaper or advertisements, you're missing upon minimum 4 times the potential job leads which are never advertised. To, to track down job leads, to fetch more interviews and chances of getting hired, job searchers must go beyond online. They must go beyond search engines and must tap into the hidden job market. It's important for them to understand that where is it coming from. Now, if you look at this slide, you see the picture of the glacier. Now, the tip is signifying those 20% which we look upon. And what is hidden below, this is the 80% that we want to tap upon. This is the 80% that we want to look into and get hired into a job which we feel is my dream job. I can guarantee every single student today must be dreaming of, I need to go into that job once I graduate. I need to find that organization to work in once I graduate. And this is the way you gonna learn how to do it. It's only through networking. A job seeker can get the news of unadvertised job vacancy through networking. Now, to understand that, what is this networking and how do we, get over it? Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's try to understand the reasons why these jobs are not advertised. The employer does not want to reveal future growth or plans of the organization so that he might expose his plans to the competition. The employer needs to confidentially replace a non-performer. Now, this is a very important point that you must understand when you are trying to look for jobs. There are plenty of times when big companies do not actually advertise. And the reason is that somebody who's already in the job is being replaced. And that is the time that it's top confidential. So if they advertise, the cat is out of the bag. The employer hires a search firm or a recruiter to conduct confidential search. That also happens in this practical world. Big companies can have lots of jobs. For example, let's take the case of 3Ms and Unilevers and P&G, so on and so forth. There are plenty of jobs. If they advertise all of those jobs, the whole budget is going to go into that. And then they need to have, then they need to man the position behind the screen to answer and cater for all those responses which need to be given to those candidates which are sending applications. Because that's also for proper big organizations very unethical not to respond to an application. Though nowadays ATS has taken over and there are auto-generated responses which are being sent, but still it needs to be taken care of. If you look at this slide, you will understand it a bit deeper. China government says, and this is the data of 2014, the best companies to work for in 2014. And if you look upon on the left-hand side, positions filled internally, almost 30%, 29.8%. Position filled by employee referrals, 28.3%. And the positions which were filled by people who were new colleagues or those who were outsiders and because of the advertisement, only 9.9%. Now, if this is true, the question is, how do we penetrate and be in the bucket of that 60% where the actual job is being offered? It's a dilemma. It's a big question mark, but needs to be answered, needs to be learned. The secret behind, why is this happening? Now, there can be several reasons. The first and foremost reason is that people would like to engage people who are more trustworthy. So they ask for referrals. Do you know somebody? Do you know somebody who's good? Do you know who's got these capabilities? Things like these. And advertising a job, again, is an expensive deal. And during these days, when everything is so expensive, people are really cutting cost on every corner. So they are also cutting costs on advertisements. They don't want to advertise. So these are some practical examples which need to be really looked upon very seriously. Now, if you look upon this slide, it is something which is very important that you need to see. And please, my request is that if you go into the depth of it, you will see very closely that why is it important to. This is a classic example of how people start looking for the job and how employers start hiring for the positions which are vacant. And these are totally opposite to each other. An employer will start from bottom to top, whereas a candidate starts from top to bottom. When nothing else works, then they start finding references. Now, there's nothing wrong in networking. There is nothing wrong in referrals until or unless they are being looked upon at par and a candidate or a position is not being compromised on capability. It's got to be on merit. As long as merit is being observed, no issue. Now, this graphic is one of the most interesting and explains things in best manner. Before advertising a position, a manager starts asking colleagues for a reliable candidate. Most of the job seekers get frustrated because they are working totally exact opposite. And the dilemma is we all are into it. Can anybody show hands that who's adopting this approach? People look for jobs in this direction. How many are with me on this? Hakan, I'm not able to see, but I think probably you'll be able to see it on the question answer screen. Nevertheless.
Yes, sir. So the audience can comment on comment part of live streaming.
Okay, great. Now let's understand that how we go forward and what are the approaches which are important in the job search. Now, first and foremost, we're going to talk about connectivity. If you are connected with the right people, if you have proper networking taken into account, if you have people who can help you find the right job, that is the most beautiful thing that can happen to a student. Let's understand that where did this hidden word came from? The abstract origin of the term hidden job market is elusive fundamentally. But the word hidden was likely chosen because the jobs are not readily available to the job seekers. Jobs are not posted on job boards, company career sites. Some jobs, if the categories are available to limited number of people, for example, internal employees of a company, this we just talked about, connections, finding a career without advertising. So these are few things which one needs to be very mindful about. Classic example of how networking may create the inroad to the possible job in the market. A smart job seeker can jump onto information, connects with the friend's boss, or pitch himself or herself for the position. Networking is highly effective. In my 25 years of career, what I've learned is networking is very, very important. Not because you are not competent and you would get a job because of the networking. Not because that competency can be compromised. Sometimes it does. That also is a crude fact of life. But for the reasons that when jobs start getting vacant and people are looking for people to be filled, for the jobs to be filled in, you need to be there at the right place on the right time. That's why connectivity is important. Now, so far, what does networking actually mean? We just talked about connecting with the right people, people who matter. So we need to be really, really connected with people who actually matter in this job search program. So when you are making your profiles, when you are making your resumes, when you are approaching to the corporate, make sure that you do your homework before doing that. Now, if we look at this pyramid, it's a classic example. And what I would urge you to do is that look at the center. All these things which are mentioned here, whether it be job offer, submission of application, finding opportunities. Now the base, if you look down, which is highlighted, is the network. That means connecting with the right people. But why is networking on the base? It signifies that the whole pyramid, the whole building, which is a career for job seeker or a student, is dependent upon how well the networking is, how well he or she is connected. And again, I would repeat, not for the wrong reasons, but for the right reasons. And the beauty is on the left-hand side. If you see that how much portion has been allocated from networking to submission of application, and the portion which is from job offer, interview, and so on and so forth. Now, this 60% which has been allocated is networking is the key. And the chemistry and charisma is the latter part. Once you've got the job, once you're sitting in front of the interviewer, this is where it starts from. And this is where it takes over from networking, and then it goes on to personal capability and competency and skill set. So it's important for everybody, every individual, whether you are a student, whether you are already in the job, whether you want to switch a job, you need to be connected with the right people who can make the difference and help you in your job search. Now, the way I have categorized, or the way I say it, fundamentally, there are three strategies which I'm going to talk about. The first strategy is targeted phase. Now, what do I call a targeted phase? When a person is very clear in the head, he or she knows exactly what position, what company, whom to connect with, how to connect with, and where to connect from. Until or unless you have not taken that approach, you will go all haywire. And that will create a delay, that will create long gap in between your search, and then it will become even more difficult for you to get on track the way and with the speed which you want it to be. So you need to be adopting a targeted approach to find how do we go forward. Now, this is also called a laser focused approach. Now, there are people who are very, very conservative. They are actually afraid of taking on a call. People normally do not take a call because of the fears, because of the fear of unknown, because of not what they are not able to see. Unless you take laser focused approach, you will not reach your target. This is where you want to get, really focused. Laser focusing is hard for most people, but all of this to work and your job opportunity to be success, you have to be focused. But for this approach to work, you have to take a call and you have to decide that you will not be fearful and you will go ahead with what you want. And you exactly have a clear mindset to get into what you are asking for. Remember, a job title in one company may not be the same in the other company. For example, if you are looking for, let's say, financial analyst, in another company, a financial analyst may be called finance executive, not necessarily. So what you need to do is look at the content and not on the title. This is how you will make it more focused. It's a very famous quote. We all are aware of a person who was called Bruce Lee. And he said that the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. Meaning, we all are same. Humans all are same. The only differentiating factor and something which makes us more successful than others is the way we approach towards our targets. And this is what is the most important factor that you need to be mindful of. Now let's try to take a couple of live examples and see how does it all work. I'd like to show you, and just bear with me. I'll just switch between and I'll take you to my LinkedIn profile. And from there on, we will try to see that. Now, if you see, let me show you this. Now, this is the first page. If you open your LinkedIn profile, this is what's going to come as the first profile page. Now, if you go to this place, which is the search button, and we just talked about financial analyst. Financial analyst. So if we are trying to find financial analyst, let's see how many financial analysts you will be able to find. And if somebody is working for a bank or financial services or something, my goodness. Now look at this where my cursor is. Can anybody count how many zeros are there? How many? So this is the first search that you've come across, and there are more than 100 pages you can see over here. So one job title, if somebody is trying to find a job for a financial analyst, these are the people who are already there in this category of work. Now, once you've done that, then it's more important. And I will also try to explain to you that if you follow my cursor, these are the tabs which you see when you open your LinkedIn page. And these are filters. And the use of filters on LinkedIn is extremely important. And it's a beautiful facility which LinkedIn has provided. So let's say we are looking for a financial analyst. Let's say a location. Okay, I'm in Dubai, so United Arab Emirates. So that brings down the search from hundreds of thousands to 43,000. Now, if I try to see that, okay, how many people are there here? So 43,000 people, and I'll just put a glance onto it that do I need or do I know somebody or somebody is working somebody through a reference, Then I will again use another filter on that. Let's go and try to find industry in which they are working. Let's say financial services. So we now narrowed down to 6,800 people. Now, this is how we keep on shrinking from hundreds of thousands to thousand and then so on and so forth. If we keep on filtering, you will finally get to a stage whereby you see that where is the target? Okay, amongst your own connections, if you see, you may also want to put another filter, which is the connection part. Let's say, if you see this filter, you may want to see, okay, the second and the third level connections so that you can have a wider approach. So that becomes to more 5,900. Now there are 5,900 people who are working as financial analysts. There's somebody in, okay, let's say you were trying to look for, there's a lady who is Lena Kudrus. And if I want to connect to her, she's working for EY, which is again a very renowned and a well-known financial institution. I push up the connection button. Now, what I have noticed in my experience, almost every second day, I keep on getting so many requests. People are just sending a connection button, tapping the connection button, but without message. Now, what I would urge you to do is that please always be mindful. Once this window comes, this is your window to enter somebody's personal life. This is your window to impress somebody with your 2-3 lines. This is your window to attract somebody's attention towards you. Now, you would want to add a note saying that, hello, Ms. What was her name? QUAD Kuduros. I would like to be part of your network. Can you please add if you don't mind? Now, the reason why I'm saying this and showing it to you is that once you request somebody that you want to be connected, you will get the attention, the first attention. And if your message is decent, it's respectful, and it's showing that you care, you want to learn, or you may want to write that I see your career is doing so far, so good, I'm impressed, I would like to learn more, I'm also in the financial industry, I also work on the same lines, is it okay if I be part of your connection? And I'm sure 110% the lady would definitely take the invite and add you to the network. Once the person sends you the message and you are on the network, this is where your gateway is. This is where how you get connected to the person. And then the second message you can put on, say that, thank you very much for connecting. I appreciate your connection and being part of your network. May I request you if you can introduce, I'm trying to find a job and I'm trying to look into the same sector or the same company. Can you introduce me to the hiring manager? Can you introduce me to somebody who can make it easy, or who knows how to get me hired? Things so on and so forth. This opens up the window basically for you to have a dialogue with the person. So this is something which is very, very important. And honestly, I tell you, this is something which is time and tested method. The cold contacting of employer, I mean, it's on exploratory basis. If you start doing that, you will see that how many responses you get. My own experience is that at least 60% of the calls which you make get responded out of 100. And you never know, I mean, who is going to respond positively. So it's important that your message is very to the point, and it signifies the urge for you to learn, that you need to actually learn from that person. This is what you need to do. And once you have done that, definitely the response will be positive. Okay. Having said that, let's get on with our presentation. That was the laser focus approach that we were talking about. So is it making any sense to you so far? Does it create any value in the learning, that, okay, yes, you're finding it more valuable, it's making sense to you? I'll give a couple of seconds for you to answer in your chat box. Okay, so let's go on to strategy, which is company phase. How do we go on to company phase? The second way of using a LinkedIn is that how do you capitalize and making straight cold calls to the companies, as we talked about earlier. First and foremost is compile a list of companies. And I would suggest that minimum you should have 15 to 20 companies on your list, because you don't know which company is going to be successful for you to penetrate and get hooked into. So once you've done that, then you start going forward and start approaching on the company phase. I would again take you back to the LinkedIn, and we'll take another example of how we can approach people on the company focused approach side. Now let's say we said company focused. So how do we find that we are going on to company focus? For example, let's say we are talking about financial institutions. So let's say we find Morgan Stanley. Now, one thing which is very beautiful, which LinkedIn has introduced, if you have never used it, you may want to see these three buttons. These three buttons basically show you a page that you want to share it, report an abuse, and this follow button. Normally, people do not make a use of these three buttons, and rightly so in their mind that it's such a big company. Look at, 77,997 employees on LinkedIn, huge financial service institution. If you look upon the number of followers, it's humongous. So who is going to notice that how many people are following them? But this is where we go wrong. There is always somebody in the company who's actually watching that who's following, because today nobody has enough time to follow a company or anybody, any individual also, until or unless we are actually serious about it. If I am serious to pursue a career in Morgan Stanley, then of course I'm going to follow and keep a tab of what the company is doing, how is it behaving in the stock market, how is it behaving in the corporate world. So if that is the case, then it's important for me to have the whole 9 yards, the full overview of the organization, so that I can evaluate whether it's the right thing to do or not. Now, once you start following, you see another one over here, see all employees on LinkedIn. You may want to go and have a tab and see that how many people are there who are working in this company. And is there somebody that you know? 79,000 people, my goodness. 79,000 people Morgan Stanley has. Okay, now since we have located the company, now let's see financial analyst. If there is somebody, then who is it that we would like to look upon who can make the difference in this company? Let's find a CFO, Now, if we find a CFO, and if we are trying to go on to for Morgan Stanley, and then we apply this and then see that how many people are there. Again, we go on to filter, and then we go on to financial services, and we can, if you see, let me also explain this to you. If you see these tabs, past companies, industry, let's not click this one, profile, school, this is the key. This is the heart of LinkedIn, which makes it very, very practical for each and every person to, and I would urge everybody to go into these areas and take a deep dive so that you can understand how to go take a laser approach, company approach, personal approach, and find people who can make the difference. So if you go there and see that how many people are there, let's say these are so many, we have 79,000 we have shrunk down. Let's try to go and filter further more. Let's say how many people are there in New York, for example. Now we have come down to only 16,000. Now let's go and try to filter down, let's say, second level connections. So we have got only 30 results. Now it is very much approachable. It's easy for us to locate who do we want to connect with. For that matter, if the crowd is, let's say, from Lahore or for Pakistan, so you would make your search accordingly. And you would narrow it down accordingly so that you go right across which company it is, the person, the title on which, who can make the difference, and then make a connection request. Again, make a connection request. Don't forget to send a personalized message. This message must be crisp, attracting. It must convey the objective, and it must be inviting and acceptable so that the other person is keen to make you a contact. Now, we'll clear all the tabs here and we will go back onto the profile. So we can take another approach. And while we do that, we will go back onto our presentation. But why am I not able to see? Yes, this one. Okay, now the strategy number 3, the recruiter phase. How do we go on to the recruiter phase? Before we go on to recruiter phase, let's have a quick question answer. So far, all good? Are we all good? Are we understanding? Is it making any sense to everybody? It's beneficial, it's knowledgeable, or you already knew everything, nothing new in it? Okay. Prior to that, let's take a, where is it? I just slipped through. Let me just take you through to the third approach, which I call recruiter phase. Now, if you will notice, I will only type singular, not plural. Recruiter, not recruiters, because when we post our titles, when we post our positions on LinkedIn, we are one, singular, not plural. So that's why I've written recruiter. And if I go on to people, 1.8 million, my God. See, these many people are there. Now, again, I would like to utilize my filters, and I would like to keep on narrowing down my search. 1 minute, please. Recruiter. And then, yeah. People, then location. Okay, 9,200 recruiters are there in UAE. Now, again, you will sift through that who are the recruiters which are dealing specifically for the position that you are looking and focusing for. And then you again filter down it furthermore. Then you again see, and for instance, there is a person who's in oil and gas. Then there's this lady who's working for Naukri.com. Then there's a recruiter for Green Gulf Careers, so on and so forth. But the key remains the same, that you need to focus, you need to find the ways, which is the category that you want to tap upon, which is the area you want to look upon, and how do you want to categorize your search, and then go so on and so forth. But always remember, when you're doing your search, when you're sending your messages, please make sure that it is a clean and a clear message, and it is readable, audible, people are able to understand, easy to understand, and it's attractive enough for somebody to go ahead and accept your invite. So I will again go to the profile, we'll get out of this and go on to our presentation. And before we go any further, let's have a quick recap. So what have we talked about so far? We have talked about the hidden job market. We know what the hidden job market is and how to penetrate into it. We know why employers don't usually advertise jobs. We learned that hiring managers will look internally first for candidates. We also learned how to use LinkedIn in more optimized manner. We also learned how to find a connect with people who matter. And the key is to build a relationship with them. Always remember. See, what I have also noticed that what people normally do, they would send a connection request and then forget about it, even if it is accepted. No. What you must do is that, let's suppose you've sent a request and somebody has responded fairly quickly within, let's say, 48 hours or 24 hours, compared to somebody who normally responds after 5, 10, 15, 20 days. So you may like to, appreciate that. I'm very thankful to you that you've accepted. It was a quick response. I'm happy to be part of your network. And then you explain that this is my motive. I would want you to, help me out finding a new job, and so on and so forth. And then the conversation starts. But be genuinely interested in the other person. Genuinely try to express what you are asking for. Make sure that whatever is being said or heard, it comes naturally. It should not show that it's an imitation. You don't actually mean it. That will make the difference. This will be the differentiating factor. Now, we come towards the last phase of our presentation. And while we do that, I'm going to explain to you that there are 5 major steps in your job search, starting from the resume and going up to making your impact in the social network or professional network for that matter. Now, the first step is your resume has to be very impactful. It's got to have the crisp information, not on what you have learned, not on what you have studied, not on what. It must have the characteristics to express that what do you bring to the table. That's even more important. All the recruiters are normally looking what the achievements are, because see, what have you achieved so far? You have achieved. But the $1 million question is that what are you going to do for the company that you are going to enter as an employee? They are more interested in that, which is more important. So you need to be prepared for that one question, which will be the differentiating factor in your hiring or in a regret letter, that what do you bring to the table? Always prepare for that. You do your research for the company, you do your research for the person who is interviewing, and then enter into in the interview. The second thing is your LinkedIn profile. It's got to be impressive. It's got to be very, very crisp. Then, are you actually leveraging your network or not? Do you have the right network or not? That's again very important factor. Your profile is being optimized or not? You have made total use of your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, your personal profile, all the social media or not? These are some things which are really important. Your social image profiling is even more important compared to your student days. In your professional life, this factor again plays a very important role. How do you portray? How do you appear yourself? How do you appear in front of public and professionals? This would show that what brings along with you and what's behind you in terms of your seniority, in terms of your experience, in terms of your upbringing, in terms of your learning. So this makes a lot of difference if you are prepared for that. Now the good news. Now the good news is that we can work all it out. If you need help, if you need to seek any information, I'm always there. You must remember, you don't want to leave something that's important to a chance, do you? Your profiling, your resume, your upkeep, your imaging. Your profile only has 60 seconds in front of the recruiter to make an impact. So it has to be very, very crisp. It has to be significant enough to make sure that people are actually reading it, finding it interesting, and then taking the pain of reading the whole 2, 3, 4 pages of your profile. This all will happen in these 60 seconds. And by purpose, I've kept this live watch in front of you so that you can understand that how much time these 60 seconds is. 1 minute, which is not enough, but it's make it or break it. So you must make sure that you utilize these 60 seconds in the most optimum manner. Nowadays, as we talked about, one position which is advertised, one position, single position which is advertised in a newspaper, out of those 20% only, and the hidden are not even advertised, the 80%. The employers have put in to do away with the pain of sifting all those CVs and resumes. They've put in a system, and it's called ATS, unfortunately. Now the system automatically rejects the CVs which do not make sense or which do not have those specific words which are being looked upon for the job. So make sure that whoever writes your CV is competent enough to include all those keywords which will make you go through positively through the ATS. Because you don't want your application to be rejected even before you're sitting in front of the interviewer. There's a lot of difference between the application itself and the applicant sitting himself in front of the interview. So this is where you need to be careful. If there are gaps in the resume, don't worry. There's still ways that you can go ahead and cover those gaps. If somebody wants to do the transitioning between the jobs, don't worry. That also is possible. Nothing is impossible in today's world. You are in a position, but you want to go and find a position which you feel that you can do better. Whatever you are doing in your current role, you're not happy with it, but you need to find an organization, a job which you have always dreamt of, and you want to go there. There's a solution to that also. It all can be worked upon. What all we have talked about, if you look onto that, definitely you will reach to your destination. You can also learn the best job strategies. How do you penetrate in the industry? How do you find a specific job? How do you go into a specific role, organization, a person? This all can be learned. This is not rocket science. It all can be learned. If you've been through this webinar or if you've seen this presentation, there are far more things which you can also learn. If you opt for coaching, you will definitely learn more. But choose a person who knows it all, who can guide you, who can coach you. See, I always remember this very nice saying that there's something which is called GPS, and we all use it, Even if we are living in a city which we have been living for 20, 30, 40 years, still we take out the smartphone and we call somebody which is called Siri or Google Map. We put in that, please take me to this destination. And we start trusting that software, and that software takes us to a destination which was not known to us. Similarly, in the job search, in a professional career, you need to have GPS. You need to have, and I call it GPS's Guru Positioning System. Somebody you can select as a mentor, somebody who can guide you through, handhold you through the phase which you are not very comfortable with. Learn to find jobs in the hidden job market, which is 80%. Crack the gold mine, you can do it. And now towards the end, I would just like to express that people that I've worked with, what they had to say about me. Normally the tendency is that we believe on what is being said about people, that which is called references, rather than experience our own selves with the individual. So you guys may have heard about the name of Mr. Azmat Tareen, who is the president of the Silk Bank. I got the honor and pleasure of working with him in one of my career spans. So he says that Shaban worked with me as a group head HR. He has a broad range of skills that include government compliance, benefit employees. Shaban is a caring professional who tries to find solutions and that benefit the employee and the company. This is the punchline. However, he can be firm when the situation requires it. So I've been known for that. He is a capable and reliable person who understands what is required of a human resource head. Another testimonial which I would like to share with you is from Mr. Deepak Kaul. He was the ex-managing director of Coca-Cola. I got the honor of working with him as well. And very fine, very learned gentleman. I saw Shaban progressing into strategic HR lead of Coca-Cola Middle East. He successfully built HR function from the scratch into a function capable of managing complexities of a growing business at a much faster pace. Shaban played a pivotal role in transforming the organization culture by cascading down the mission, vision, and Coca-Cola global values across all levels. I was impressed with his business acumen, problem solving, and teamwork abilities. His contribution to create an agile workforce is commendable. As a result, Coca-Cola Middle East was able to achieve employee satisfaction at 96% in 2019. This was a record percentage which we achieved, and it was not only because of me, but it was the whole teamwork who worked very hard for 5 years, and we achieved these numbers. Another person which you may have heard of in the professional and educational world, Mr. Zafar Usmani, who is the chief executive, who was heading HR for HBL as well. He was in the civil services as well. I got to know him when I was working for KSB, and I was part of the turnaround of KSB, making sure that whatever the transition was going through, that goes through swiftly and smoothly, and we are able to turn around the bank. So these are his comments. Very gracious and very thankful for him to say these kind of words for me. This one is very important and very close to my heart, because this boy who's known as Haris Jamil, acting General Secretary of Pakistan Football Association, he walked into my office a few years back, and it's a nice story if you see. I saw the spark. He basically wanted a job of a risk evaluator. And I told him that, what you gonna do over there? It's such a boring job, you know. Why don't you join HR? And he didn't know, he was lost. He was just at the verge of starting off his career. And he agreed, he took my advice, and he said, okay, fine, if there's a role, I would join HR. So I took him into my team. And till late, he was working with me, and I got him to Dubai as well with me, because such a brilliant and a gentleman person, a good student who literally tried to learn anything and everything. So that's his testimonial, which when he went back, he sent it to me. So very thankful to him as well. And now towards the last slide, which I said earlier, every human being is unique. Every one of us has one unique quality, if not more. So if you read the slide, that if you start judging the fish with the capability to climb the tree, all the life, fish will think that it's stupid. So we need to put people in the right perspective, things in the right perspective. We need to organize our search. We need to organize ourselves. We need to first know what we are, who we are, and then we go on to finding that what we want and where we want and who is going to help us what we want. With these few words, I would now leave the floor to all of you. And Mr. Munawar, once again, I'm thankful to Mr. Munawar for inviting me for this session and sharing my views. Open to the floor for question and answers, please. Thank you very much to everyone.
Shaban Sahab, thank you very much for sharing such fruitful information. Now I will be coming towards some questions which are asked by our students on our closed Facebook group. So the question number one that is asked actually through, it's not asked on Facebook, but it's asked on my telephone number. That's why I'm starting this question in the start. I'm starting with this question. What is the role of covering note on LinkedIn, and how should we develop our covering note on LinkedIn?
Munawar, LinkedIn is a platform which is very crisp. Cover notes normally are sent along with applications, to the best of my knowledge. And it's important. See, if you've seen the presentation, whoever is asking this question, my friend, the window which gets opened up when you request for the connection, that's your covering note in the modern times. If you are able to send the right pitch, your job is done. This is how important it is. It is a very integral part of a job search, because the covering note is not to write, okay, I'm interested in this position, can you please attach as my CV? No. It's an opportunity for you to showcase who you are and not your qualification as a professional, as a person who brings value and adds value to the organization. This is the time to demonstrate what you can do for that specific organization. So it is a very important document.
Okay. Next question is that how to find right people for networking. Though you have already highlighted it, but still one student, I think that he or she has joined us late. So she has asked this question again, that how can we find right people for the networking, and how to judge that this person is right for me to network. Like every person is not suitable for me to network with. So how should I decide that who should I network with and how to find a right person for the network?
Okay, good question. Whoever this person is, if you will see the recording, you will get your answer. But for the benefit of everybody, I will repeat. Again, there are three approaches. One is the laser focus approach. If you know what you want, this is where the beginning is. First and foremost is that you need to know what you want. Once you know that, then you will go to the question that from whom do you want? Once you know that, then you will start approaching those kind of people. And then you will know where do you want it from. So then you will start approaching for those kind of companies who are those people working in those companies. And this is how you will know that who you will interact with and connect with, and make your connections. I hope I'm able to answer the question.
Yes, thank you very much. Next question is actually, it's not a question, it is an option that is opened by LinkedIn. They have given a tab that you can put a tab on your picture that you are open to opportunities. Shaban, please guide us that is it a right approach to use that tab that I'm open to opportunities on your picture especially?
This is a new thing which has come in, and just for the benefit of those who do not know the background, if you have noticed, it has just appeared a couple of months back. And that has happened because of massive, major outflux of resources. When I say outflux, what I mean is that jobs have been impacted, a lot of jobs, because of COVID. Now, people with the speed with which they are getting out of job, there is a lot of influx of resource. So everybody is trying to showcase that, yes, I am available. There are people who do not know how to use LinkedIn properly, or they do not know the networking processes. So they are putting this up and they are saying that I am open for it. Any recruiter or any hiring manager or manager looks upon the profile and they also know that yes, the person is available, so they can approach them directly. It's a bold approach. Normally people shy away to say that fine, I am jobless, I want to find a job, and they put it up as an advertisement. But there are people who are bold enough to announce it as well, and there's no harm.
Okay, thank you. Next question is sometimes students, especially the fresh graduates, when they graduate from university, definitely they are keen to find good career path. So they quickly upload their PDF or JPEG resumes on LinkedIn, and they write a big covering note on the post that we are looking for opportunities. So please share your opinion about this, that how is this, that if some graduate, especially the fresh graduate, is looking for a job, should he or she upload her resume on her or his wall?
Now, this is a unique thing which I've also experienced and seen, and some people have just posted it on my page as well last month, I think. I think that's a sign of desperation. Some people have gone to an extent and use this facility, which to my mind is not very impactful, and it's not creating any value. I have had the chance of talking to somebody who's been posting these resumes on LinkedIn, and I've shared my opinion to them also, saying that it will be more appropriate that if you inbox those resumes to people where it matters and belong, instead of just exposing themselves to the whole world.
Okay, Shaban, there are two questions, though these are more relevant to the technicalities and IT side of LinkedIn. But I hope if you can answer of these two questions, because I'm not sure that this is your area or not. The question is that how to do scrutiny if already made a connection, that if you have already added someone in your connection, how can you go for due diligence of that connection, or how can you scrutinize that connection? And second question is also relevant to the same area, that when you are playing your presentation and you are giving examples of usage of LinkedIn, so there are some tabs which normally people are unable to see those tabs. Are these tabs open for only premium users, or common people can also use those tabs that you showed in your presentation?
Tabs are also open for common people. It's a normal account. You can still have tabs. I guess the options of those tabs will be a little limited compared to a premium user, but those tabs are there. And the fundamental tabs which will allow you to do the scrutiny and which will allow you to do the narrowing of your search will definitely help you. That should not be a showstopper. Coming towards the second question, that how do you scrutinize profile? I think the best way to scrutinize is go into details, the contact number, the email, things like those, and get on to the detailing of it. Only then. Otherwise, there's no other way that you can do that.
Shaban, mashallah, you are expert HR and you have been serving in the field of HR for almost 3 decades now. So
that reminds me how old I am.
Okay.
I hope you're not hinting onto that.
My question is this, that actually in the end, I would like you to share some tips, like briefly, that how can students develop a good resume, and what are the common suitable words that they should use in their resume? I know that this question is not relevant to the topic, but considering your experience, I thought that we should take benefit from your experience, and we should ask to share a few tips that how can we develop good resume, and what are the suitable words which are considered very strong these days by the HR people. when they are screening the resumes?
Okay. Now the question has two folds to it. I'll try to
Yes.
justify. Now, see, the first thing which you need to understand while writing a resume is that you do not glorify it by putting in things which you don't know of, because that will be caught very easily when you sit in front of the HR manager or whoever the interviewing manager is. So first thing is that whatever you know, whatever you have done, first of all, put that on paper. Once you've done that, then you beautify it. And then you use the words which are more important in sense of corporate world. Now, since it's a very open-ended question, so it's difficult for me to give a comprehensive answer, but I'll try to give an overview to it.
I will be grateful for that.
Yeah. And what you need to do is that when you've written the resume, the first draft, sleep over it. After 1 day, 2 days, again visit it, and then start finding it, because with a fresh eye, then you will be able to see your own mistakes or errors which are there already. So once you've rectified that, then do the search soul, that what are your capabilities, what are your strengths. Once you are aware of that, then play on those strengths in the resume and then signify that in that area and show that how important it is, what you can do to make it more beneficial for the organization. Do not write a resume with the perspective that who you are and what you can do. Write it with the perspective that the reader in the organization understands that this person, when the person joins in, what benefit will it be for the organization?
Shaban, thank you very much for sparing time and sharing so fruitful tips with our students. Definitely, these will be very helpful for them to network on LinkedIn and to prospect progressive careers which are appropriate for them. And with this, I'm really grateful to the audience, students and alumni who joined us to learn from Shaban. However, don't worry if you have missed the session. Video of this session will be uploaded on our Facebook and YouTube channel, and links will be shared with you people. Again, in the end, I'm grateful, and please thank you for Shaban for joining us. Should you want to ask anything from us, so we are open for that.
No, thank you very much, Munawar. I'm honored, and it's a pleasure to be around, and I've always wanted to give back to the community for what I have learned in the corporate world, and it will be a pleasure to assist anybody who wants to have any discussion, any help. I'm always available. That's not a problem.
Thank you very much.
If I may add, there is one more question that a student just posted on Facebook. I'm just tapping in the chat box. Really appreciate if you can answer that question.
What is the question, Khakan? Could you ask the question, please? Because I'm unable to find that question.
I have typed or copy paste in the chat box.
Can employment gaps be justified by pursuing online courses and researches? And
Shaban Saab.
Umair, your question is okay. Let me give you a perspective to that. See, a gap in employment is a fact. So it cannot be covered to an extent by saying that I was pursuing something online, this, that. Let's not, as I said right now, a minute earlier, let's not make up things. When we go to justify things and we take a apologetic or defensive approach, we lose the battle before even we start. Because we must understand that anybody who is sitting across the table and trying to understand the candidate or judge the capabilities has got relevant experience and is a professional doing that job. And if that person is professional, he or she will be able to find it. So it's better that we say it upfront, accept it, and then give the logical reasons that why it has happened so. There can still be a reason which is difficult to explain and express or put on table, but we need to be bold enough, we need to be sincere, we need to be honest that yes, this is why the gap is, but thereafter XYZ. So I think it's important for us to accept and express truthfully. And then if there are courses which you have pursued online or during those moments of gap, those times of gap, then the best answer is that despite the fact that I was not into this position, or I was not working, or there is a gap in this, but I have utilized this gap or this time to the benefit of my upskilling, my understanding, my learning process, and this is how I have utilized this time beautifully. That would add more value and flavor to your experience.
Shaban sir, thank you very much for giving the answer of all questions and sharing tips.
How do I give you a full picture?
I think that Khatan can better tell us that how can you extend your image. So, okay. Hello, Khatan. Can we, okay, let Shaban conclude this message. Sorry, conclude this session now. And I think that we should say goodbye. Now it's okay.
Hello? Fair enough.
Thank you, Shaban sir.
Thank you very much for sharing all this information, and we look forward to host another session in future, and hopefully that you'd spare time again for our students and alumni. Thank you very much.
Sure. It'll be my pleasure. Thank you very much.